It was late in the evening, and Sheila's weak, shaky voice kept replaying in my mind. "Mom, I can't take it anymore. I'm so tired, I can't even eat," she had said over the phone. Sheila was usually full of energy, but her voice sounded broken and desperate. I knew I had to do something, so I told her to hold on, and I promised to come and get her right away. My name is Stacy Lewis. I'm 62 years old and a widow. My husband passed away 10 years ago, and since then I've been running the small restaurant he started. It wasn't easy, but with support from my son Samuel, I kept it going. My daughter Sheila is married now and has a son. She lives with her husband and takes care of their family. We've always been close, but that night I felt like I didn't know what was going on in her life anymore. Samuel and I drove to Sheila's house, and my mind was racing with questions. Sheila had always been strong and capable. What could have pushed her to feel this way? When we got there, the house was quiet, and the porch light flickered dimly. Violet, Sheila's mother-in-law, opened the door. She looked messy and smelled like alcohol. Her forced smile didn't hide the sharp look in her eyes. "Sheila's not feeling well," Violet said, brushing us off like we were interrupting. But I wasn't leaving without seeing my daughter. I walked past her and called for Sheila. Sheila came slowly down the stairs. She looked so thin and tired, nothing like her usual self. She gave me a weak smile before collapsing into my arms. "I can't do it anymore, Mom," she said, tears rolling down her face. "I'm so exhausted." As I held her, she told me everything. After her father-in-law's death, Violet had moved in with Sheila's family. At first, Sheila tried to be kind, thinking Violet was grieving. But Violet didn't help with anything. Sheila was left to do all the cooking, cleaning, and taking care of her son, while Violet went out every night and came home drunk. "She doesn't listen to me," Sheila said softly. "And I feel like I'm carrying everything alone." I couldn't leave her in that situation any longer. Samuel and I helped Sheila pack a few things and brought her to my house. On the drive home, she fell asleep in the back seat, looking peaceful for the first time in what seemed like forever. The next morning, Sheila stayed in bed to rest while Samuel and I talked. "Mom, I've seen Violet around town," Samuel said. "She's always at the bar with some young guy. At first I thought it was nothing, but it's definitely something more." I was surprised. Violet always acted so proper, but Samuel's words explained a lot about her behavior. Even so, my main concern was Sheila. She needed to feel safe and get better. Over the next few weeks, Sheila started to recover. My house became a place where she could relax and heal. Slowly, she began smiling again, but I couldn't stop thinking about the unresolved issues with Violet. One day, my phone rang. It was Violet, and she was angry. "Why did Sheila leave like that?" she demanded. "She has responsibilities here." I took a deep breath and stayed calm. "Violet, Sheila was overwhelmed. She needed a break to take care of herself," I said. "I hope you understand." "All I understand is that you're helping her run away from her duties," Violet snapped. Her words hurt, but I stood firm. "Sheila's health is more important. If you need help, we can figure something out, but this arrangement isn't working." The call ended on a sour note, but I knew I had made the right decision. Sheila needed to be away from that toxic environment. Weeks later, Samuel confirmed that Violet had been seeing a young man named Parker. He confronted Parker, who admitted everything. "I care about Violet," Parker said, "but I can see how her actions are hurting her family. It's not fair to them." Hearing this, I decided to talk to Violet face to face. Samuel and I went to her house one evening. She greeted us with her usual defensive attitude, but I could see guilt in her eyes. "Why are you here?" she asked, crossing her arms. "We need to talk," I said firmly. "About Sheila, about Parker, about everything." At the mention of Parker's name, Violet's face fell. She tried to deny it, but it was clear she knew she'd made mistakes. Finally, she broke down. "I didn't mean for things to get this bad," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I've been so lonely since my husband died." "I understand," I said gently, "but your actions have hurt Sheila. If you truly want to make things right, you need to take responsibility." Violet nodded. "I'll apologize to Sheila. I want to fix this. True to her word, Violet called Sheila and apologized. It was an emotional conversation, but it was a start. Parker also decided to step back, knowing his involvement was making things worse. She needs to focus on her family, he told me. With Violet making amends and Sheila recovering at my house, life started to feel normal again. Sheila even began helping out at the restaurant, her laughter filling the space once more. But the past months had left scars, and it would take time for all of us to heal. One afternoon, I watched Sheila play with her son in the backyard. Her smile was back, and for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. Our family had been through so much, but we came out stronger, bound by love and determination. In the following weeks, Violet began attending counseling sessions to address her grief and unhealthy coping mechanisms. She was reluctant at first, but gradually opened up about her struggles. The sessions helped her see how her actions had hurt not only Sheila, but herself as well. Meanwhile, Sheila's husband reached out to her, apologizing for not stepping in sooner. He admitted that he had failed to protect her from the overwhelming responsibilities Violet had imposed. "I should have been there for you," he said. "From now on, we'll make decisions together." His words brought Sheila to tears, but they were tears of relief. For the first time, she felt like her husband truly understood her. As Violet worked on herself, she gradually became more involved in the household again. She started helping out with chores and even spent time bonding with her grandson. It was a slow process, but the effort was there, and it didn't go unnoticed. Sheila and Violet's relationship, once strained to the breaking point, began to mend. One evening, Violet invited Sheila and her family to dinner at her house. It was her way of showing that she wanted to make things right. The atmosphere was warm, filled with laughter and shared stories. Sheila's son played happily in the living room, and for a moment, it felt like the dark days were finally behind us. At the restaurant, Sheila started taking on more responsibilities, something she had always enjoyed before her life became so stressful. She reconnected with old friends and even took up painting again, a hobby she had abandoned years ago. Watching her regain her confidence and joy was like seeing a flower bloom after a harsh winter. Samuel, ever the supportive brother, suggested that Sheila's paintings could be displayed in the restaurant. "It'll brighten the place up," he said. Sheila laughed but agreed to give it a try. Her artwork quickly became a talking point among the customers, and she received numerous compliments. It was a small but significant boost to her self-esteem. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better. The scars of the past remained, but they were a reminder of how far we'd come. As a family, we had faced challenges that could have torn us apart, but instead, we had grown closer. And in the end, that was what mattered most. In the end, I realized that even in the darkest times, there's always a way forward, as long as we stick together and never